Hey guys, how's it going? I thought it would be cool to do a series of short videos that looks at special or notable enemies and do an overview on their design, stats, abilities and such. You guys are gonna have to let me know down in the comments if these are worth making. And hey, if you've never been on this side of YouTube but do enjoy Warframe content, check out some of the other videos on this channel and maybe consider subscribing. With all that said, today we're going to be talking about the Thrax boys, both the Legatus, Leg, and the Centurion. Everything that'll be covered about these enemies will be timestamped, so feel free to check the description. The Thrax, Legatus, and Centurion differ a little bit from each other, but both seem eerily similar to your standard Grineer boys. They're just bigger and probably had an unfortunate incident when trying to mod their weapons for corrosive or something, and then had whatever was left possessed by the Void? Interestingly enough, they don't belong to the Grineer faction, but they do fight alongside them, or even the Corpus for that matter, in missions. While it would have been cool to see them attack anything and everything nearby without mercy, it would have probably created complications gameplay-wise. Let's just say the Thrax really hate Tenno, just like Vombalists. And like Vombalists, the Thrax possess a physical form and a spectral form that is only vulnerable to operator attacks. No, Zaku Zata Whisper does not work, unfortunately. Sedge. The physical forms of both Thraxes also possess Overguard, which can be a whole other topic on its own. They are pretty chunky even without Overguard, which makes killing them not a walk in the park for most players, I'd imagine. But these guys are worth fighting as they do have a small chance to drop arcanes alongside the guaranteed Thrax Plasm. Alright Mello, where are those big numbers you put on the thumbnail? Let's cover the stats real quick. Cloned flesh and ferrite armor makes sense considering these are Grineer-like bodies being controlled by the Void? I'm still not sure on the lore. Yeah, I didn't pay much attention. The Thrax Legatus at level 115, which is something you'll encounter in tier 4 Zariman bounties, has an EHP of over 4 million. A lot, but not the highest number I've seen. In Seal Path mode, however, that number casually reaches over 23 million, which is nuts. But it doesn't end there. Play any one of the endless Zariman missions for long enough, and at level 190, these guys will be floating around with more than 43 million EHP in Steel Path. That's not something a lot of players can deal with. Granted, to even unlock the Zariman planet or node, you'd have to be a fairly experienced player, but unless you're running those specific setups that destroy enemies regardless of level, a Thrax Legatus at level 150 and above is not going to be a pushover, and the Thrax Centurion is just a chunkier Legatus basically. Times like this, I really do miss the old corrosive mechanic. Alright, let's switch gears and look at the abilities for both Thrax enemies. Knowing what these guys have under their sleeves could prove helpful when devising a strategy to take them down with minimal hassle. Starting with the Thrax Legatus, its first ability is summoning 3 spectral copies which attack by firing magnetic beams with high status chance. This beam straight up ignores Arcane Nullifier, but not Nezha's Warding Halo. Not sure which one of these scenarios is intended. The second ability is basically the Thrax ascending into the air and firing explosive projectiles, much like Grineer Hellions. Not very unique, but can be deadly if you're caught off guard. Switching over to the Thrax Centurion, this guy has the annoying power to levitate if it catches you at a distance, and then dash 3 times towards you before spinning the Hespar around, dealing magnetic damage with guaranteed status. I believe the previous scenarios with Arcane Nullifier and Nezha's Halo apply here as well. It would have been okay if you could damage them while they're in mid-flight, but as if these guys weren't powerful enough, they become invulnerable during the dash animation. Someone over at DE really wanted to take revenge against Warframes, I reckon. Anyways, just like the Thrax Legatus, the Centurion also has a rather simplistic second ability that involves them just jumping at their target from afar, causing a shockwave on landing, which is probably rather annoying, but I wouldn't know because I'm a primed sure-footed user. Best mod. It is worth mentioning that if you leave the Thraxes in their spectral form, they will float about and consume a nearby humanoid enemy, which will allow it to return to physical form. If there's nothing nearby to consume, then it'll just hurl projectiles at you. Angrily, I presume. A couple more fun facts, these guys are immune to loot abilities, including Ivara's Prowl, which is maybe not a fun fact, but it's fair because otherwise you'd have the min-max boys lazy farming for the arcanes, if they aren't already somehow somewhere, which I'm unaware of. Speaking of being unaware, you may not be aware that Necros' Soul Punch will bypass the spectral phase of both the Thrax Legatus and Centurion, if you manage to kill him with it, that is, which is going to be practically impossible. The Thrax boys are one of, if not the toughest non-boss enemies I have faced in Warframe. Just one of them is not too big of a deal considering I main Chroma, but 2 or sometimes 3 of them with an annoying Leech Eximus can get overwhelming. Overall, I think it's a well-designed enemy that's meant to be a challenge for sure, could maybe tone it down a little bit with the invulnerability and guaranteed magnetic procs, but then I'd probably get bored. So yeah, what do you guys think of the Thrax enemies? I'd love to read your thoughts down in the comments below. That's all for now. Feel free to check out the Discord server, links in the description. Otherwise, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Have a good day.